professional firefighter is a demanding job. Modern firefighters routinely work in extremely hazardous conditions, carrying heavy loads on often treacherous footing and in precarious places. Firefighters have learned that to maintain the stamina necessary for their dangerous occupation, a healthy diet and a strong exercise program are a must. We salute the brave men and women of the Tyler Firefighting Department, and although we may not be able to do their exercise programs, we can certainly appreciate how they eat. You're watching Cooking with Fire, cooking lessons from the chefs of the Tyler Fire Department. Hi, I'm Serena Butcher, and welcome to Cooking with Fire. I'm here with firefighter Mark Baker and Captain Kelly Shirley, and they're going to be showing us how to make some wonderful food today. So, what are you going to make?
Well, today we're going to start off with some stuffed jalapenos wrapped in bacon. It's got kind of a cream cheese stuffing. And then for our main dish, we're going to have stuffed pork chops with some Cajun boudin, some roasted potatoes, and a squash casserole.
Nice. And then what's for dessert?
We're making a no-bake banana pudding for dessert.
All right, sounds good. Let's get started. So, show us what we need to
The first thing we need to get going is going to be the appetizer, and it's, like I said, it's stuffed jalapenos wrapped in bacon. What we put in them, it kind of varies from whatever we can find at the store, but the base is going to be this Laughing Cow cheese. It's kind of a cream cheese, soft Swiss cheese type
garlic
stuff.
And herb?
Yeah, and they make all different flavors. That's the one I like to use, the garlic and herb the most. We also add just a little bit of your grated cheese, cheddar jack, Mexican, whatever, and then we'll throw some chives, a little garlic powder, and a little Tony Chachere's, the Cajun seasoning there. And
stuff.
like I say, this is more than we normally make. It's about twice what we normally make. As we're mixing it all together, it'll be real creamy at first, and what we do is we'll add some breadcrumbs, non-seasoned breadcrumbs in there, and it just makes the consistency a little bit better and makes it a little firmer when you stuff it down the jalapeno.
Okay.
So what you do is you, and I've already cored all these out, get a little paring knife, or they actually make a little tool that you can use that you can stick in there, and you twist it around, and then you're supposed to be able to pull it out and everything comes out, but it really doesn't work that well. The best thing you can use is a small paring knife.
Paring knife, okay.
And thing you need to remember, most of the heat in this pepper comes from the seeds. So you really want to try to get all the seeds out, unless you like it really hot. It's hard to tell with these jalapenos when they're going to be too hot to eat. But
okay.
And we just take just a little spoon, that's a little baby food spoon, and you just want to stuff it down in there. Like that. And we've got 3 here we got to get done. When these things cook, whatever happens, that cheese will start expanding a little bit.
Okay.
So
leave
like if you run out, if you're starting to run low, it's no big deal to leave them a little bit low like that.
Okay.
Like I say, one of these things right here will make about, I want to say maybe 17 or 18 of these peppers.
Okay.
So
it
goes a long way.
Party food.
Yeah.
Appetizer.
And then we've got some bacon here, and there's all kinds of bacon out there, but you want to get thick cut bacon, because if you buy the cheapest stuff out there, when you go to wrap it around here, it'll just start tearing up, and it makes it kind of a little bit harder to. Then we're going to take a toothpick and secure it like that, and then we just set it down there, a little pepper holder.
And where did you get this? Like.
This one right here came from Canton, and it's kind of somebody made it in Canton. It's a little bit fancier. It's actually shaped in the shape of a pepper, and that one has been at the fire station for a long time. But they're all over the place. They have them at Academy, Gander Mountain. I mean, they're not hard to find. They're pretty popular things now. And I always cook these in the grill. I mean, I guess theoretically you could cook it in the oven. But with the grill, it gives it a little bit better flavor when you cook it. The thing you need to be careful with is there's a lot of bacon here, which is going to make a lot of grease. So you need to really be careful and watch it, because they will catch on fire. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take these out here and throw them on the grill and get them going, and just kind of watch them, and we'll have to turn them around and stuff like that.
Okay.
So we're going to put these on the grill here, and what we've done is we've got these 2 burners going here. We're going to try to keep them over here where this burner is not going, kind of an indirect heat method. And we'll probably have to come out here and maybe move these around a little bit. You know, flip them like that maybe.
Okay.
But.
And what temperature are they set at?
I think this thing's running about, this one's about medium and this one's about 3/4.
Okay.
I mean, it's got a temperature deal on there, but it's, you know, it goes up and down, and when you open it, the temperature will go down. But, and it's normally you're looking at maybe anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes.
Okay.
As they start cooking, we'll look at them, and you'll be able to tell when they start getting done.
Right,
But.
perfect. Keep an eye on that.
All right, the next thing we're going to start is the squash casserole.
Okay.
And like I say, this is normally a little bit more than we make. We normally start with 3 pounds of squash. This is probably about 4.5 because of the number of people that are going to be here.
And you're using yellow squash.
Yellow
Have you ever
squash.
made it with
Oh
any
yeah.
other kind, or does it matter?
Zucchini. Zucchini's the only other thing I've used, but it's just as good. It really doesn't matter. And I always use a smaller squash because somebody told me that always tastes better. But yeah, we use zucchini occasionally. If there's not, sometimes you can't find yellow squash in the store year round that looks any good. And those bigger pieces we just cut in half. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it in this pot here, and we're actually going to boil it in the pot in the water for about 15 minutes and kind of get it not to where it's not going to be all the way cooked, but we want to get it started. Then we're going to strain it all out, and we're going to let it cool and start mixing all of our other ingredients that will go in the squash casserole.
Okay. And I see you've got onion in there too. How much onion did you use?
We normally use 1, so we're going with about 1.5 here.
Okay.
Large onion. And then once it cools off, we'll mix. There's a couple eggs that are involved in it, and you don't want to put your eggs in there while it's real hot because they'll end up scrambling them, and that's not what.
Egg drop soup.
Yeah, yeah. The egg just kind of helps keep it hold together, makes it into a casserole other than a soup. So we'll get all that going.
And how did you learn how to cook?
Actually, I really couldn't cook that much until I came to work here. And when I came to work here, I worked for a captain and a driver that it was kind of expected if you were the fireman, the new fireman, to cook. So
Gotcha.
I learned pretty quick that, you know, and from watching other firemen cook. And then as I started enjoying it more, I started watching it on TV. And, you know, there's a lot of cooking. Of course, you got the Food Network now. There's a lot
Now
of.
you're going to be on TV.
Yeah. So what we're going to do, we're going to get this over here on the stove. We're going to get it boiling and get it going.
And how much water did you put in there? Just enough to
Yeah,
cover it all
just
up?
enough to cover it all up. Like I say, it's not going to be in there very long. I really don't even know how to work this thing. There it goes. So we're going to get that boiling, let it go 15, maybe 20 minutes, just till it starts getting kind of tender.
Okay.
And then we'll drain it and let it cool off, and we'll move on to the next part.
Perfect. All right, and while that's boiling, we are going to talk to the Fire Marshal, Paul Finley, because it is actually Fire Prevention Month. So he's going to give us some tips so that we can avoid starting a fire in our house.
Hey.
Hi.
Hello.
So, what's the number one cause of fires in house?
Well, believe it or not, the number one cause of fires in the home, as well as the number one cause of injuries within the home, have to do with cooking and cooking fires. And the number one reason for that is because we often leave our items on the stove unattended. And so it's important in the kitchen that you practice some safety precautions and take a few things into consideration, especially if you have children. You never want to leave the stove unattended in the first place, but especially if you've got kids walking around or something might get knocked over. So with a little planning ahead, we can keep our kitchen as safe as the rest of our house.
Okay, and what about grills?
Well, grills are the same way. You don't want to leave a grill unattended, and we've got a grill going out there right now, and we've got a firefighter standing by with it. Wind conditions can change, and as we know, occasionally it can be drier outside, and so some of the same issues that we face in the kitchen, we face outside as well. Not only a fire maybe getting out of control, but again, if you've got kids running around in an active grill, you want to make sure that you've got an adult present there watching over you.
All right, so the soup is cooking, and what are we making next?
This is going to be the roasted potatoes, and what we've done is we've taken just some regular russet potatoes and sliced them real thin like that. I mean, you can also cube them or however you want to cook them. They cook a little quicker like that. You could use red potatoes, Yukon Golds, any kind. It really doesn't matter. The red potatoes take a little bit longer to cook, but they're really good too. The first thing we want to do is we want to slice up one of these onions and put the onion down. We've got a little bit of olive oil in here to coat the bottom of the skillet there. So we're just going to slice that onion real thin. And we put it down there on the bottom. As it sits in there and cooks, that onion will like caramelize. And it'll be real good. We've also got some bacon here we're going to include in all this.
All right.
Because everybody likes bacon.
Does bacon go in at the same time?
You just kind of make layers with it. I mean, we're going to put this onion down first here. We're going to chop up some of this bacon. We'll put a little bit of it in, and we'll put some potatoes. And we top it off with a little butter. And we're going to cook it in the, we're going to cover it up with tin foil. And we'll end up putting it in the oven and letting it roast for about 40 minutes or so, about 450 degrees.
And how many potatoes did you do?
That's probably about 6 pounds, I think. We're looking at 18 people here, so that's quite a bit.
A lot. Yes.
But you can do as little or as many as you need to. So I'll put some of those in. Throw a little garlic salt on them. A little black pepper.
So do you cook for your family at home too?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Whenever we have time.
Very nice.
But I'm very fortunate. I enjoy it. So.
That's great.
And we've got several good cooks at our station, so it's not like I have to cook all the time.
So if you see him in the store, say hi. He won't bite you. Just introduce yourself to your local fireman.
That's right. We go to the store every shift, just about. So just make another layer, just kind of go back and forth. Some more bacon on there.
And the bacon is already cooked.
Yeah,
Correct.
Yeah, it's cooked. It'll cook a little bit in there, but you can see it's not just real done. But you don't want to put it in there raw. And then we're going to add some butter. This butter's getting a little bit soft here.
Okay.
And if you don't want to add the butter, you can just you could add some more olive oil. I've done it that way too.
Okay. For a little healthier option.
Yeah. And you can do it without the bacon. I've done it without the bacon many times, and it's still really good. So we got that going. We'll cover it up with foil.
So does it cook with the foil on?
Mm-hmm. And after about 30 minutes, we'll pull it out and look at it, and usually get in there and stir it up a little bit, and cover back up, put it back in there just to check it, make sure. All right.
Do you need this other one too?
Yeah, if it'll fit in there. I thought they both fit on that. All right.
All right.
That's it.
That's perfect.
Okay, now we're gonna talk about our main entree, which is gonna be a stuffed pork chop with some Cajun boudin in it. What we've got here is about a boneless pork loin chop, about 1.5 inches thick. We had them cut at Brookshire's to that thickness. Then we got some Zumbo's Cajun jalapeno boudin.
Okay. And you just buy it just like that?
Yeah, there's 2 of these. That's a whole one right there. There's 2 of them in a package, and you can normally do I guess 6 per package pork chops like these. We've got a little bit extra, but.
Okay.
And the first thing we do, of course, I've already done these. You take a knife and you want to cut down through here, but you want to be real careful. You don't cut a hole all the way through. And then you just got to kind of take your time and kind of cut it out. And you have to stick your finger in there, and you just don't want to cut all the way through the outside, because what's going to happen is when we put this boudin in here, you just want to kind of crumble it off like that and stuff it down in here. And when it actually goes on the grill and it starts cooking, this rice will actually start expanding a little bit. So if you got a hole or something, I mean, it's not that big a deal. It'll just make kind of a mess. It won't look as, and occasionally it'll do it anyways. So sometimes there's no way around it. And you can put as much or as little as you want in there, kind of depending on the size of the pork chop. And the bigger the pork chop, of course, the longer it's going to take to cook it. But normally when you're cooking food like this, we're not in a hurry, so. You got that one yet?
I think so. Do you pack it pretty tight?
Yeah. That's probably enough there. And we're going to take a toothpick, and we're going to stick that toothpick kind of crossways, and it just kind of helps keep that cavity closed there.
Alrighty.
All right. And we're going to put these on the grill as soon as we get done with our jalapenos.
Perfect.
Okay, we're going to pull our peppers off now. They've been out here about 40-45 minutes. You can see the top of them will start getting brown kind of like that. And you can tell by looking at the bottom, the pepper will actually start getting soft. So they're ready to pull. We're going to bring them inside and wrap them up, and something we can keep them warm where they'll be ready when the rest of the meal's done. So Brett's going to take them off there with his fireman gloves and walk in there and put them on the kitchen.
How often do you make this?
I don't know, not often.
Okay.
We actually ran kind of a test run of all this at our station here, a month ago maybe. Our squash is pretty much cooked over there, boiling. We want to strain it now. Anytime you're pouring a large amount of water like this, you want to be careful because it will steam on you. Pour a little bit of it and let it catch up down there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have to let this cool a little bit so we can add our other mixtures for our casserole or egg and condensed milk and all that good stuff.
All right, and on to my favorite part of any meal, dessert. All right.
All right, this is my wife's banana pudding recipe. She's probably not very happy that I'm giving it out, and but it's a no-bake. It's really easy to make, but it's my favorite banana pudding recipe. I used to think my grandmother was the only person that could make banana pudding, but then after my wife started making this one, it's now my favorite. So it's pretty simple. We're just going to cover the bottom of our bowl. Actually, it takes too long, so I'll get you to help me there, and we'll kind of just get all these laid out, and then we're going to slice some bananas. And actually, if you want to do that, I'll start slicing some bananas.
Sure. Can they be overlapping?
Sure. Or if we get too many, we'll just put them back in the bag, because we'll need some more when we get to the end. When you get to the, yeah, every time the boys at the fire station help me do it, I have to watch them because they're always trying to eat them.
I bet. We're learning the firehouse secrets.
And I usually use 3 or 4 bananas, just depending on the size. Just enough to get the bottom covered a little bit. And you can make this without bananas. A lot of people don't like the bananas in them, so we'll make them without bananas at all.
So then would it just be pudding?
As far as I'm concerned, it's not banana pudding if it don't have bananas in it.
And you said you need a third one first.
Yes, ma'am. Alright. Now we're going to go over here and start mixing.
Okay.
On this, I use a big box of vanilla instant pudding.
Okay.
If you try to use cook and serve and you try to make it like instant pudding, it don't work. Don't ask me how I know that, but if you get the wrong thing, it don't make very good pudding.
Okay. Instant pudding.
1 large instant vanilla, 1 small instant banana.
Okay.
Just drop it in there. Okay, if you go by the directions that's on the box, it'll make it too thin. So just use four cups of milk, and you can use 1%, 2% whole milk. 4 cups. And then we're going to start that mixing.
You just mix until it's all...
Yeah, just mix until it... We're going to put some other stuff in there that has to mix a while, like the cream cheese will soften it a little bit. And then the Cool Whip's a little thicker. So I just put it on there and let the pudding start mixing. And as I add stuff, I just let it keep going until it all gets... It'll start to thicken up pretty quick when we get all our other stuff. All right, start with the sweet stuff here. Can of Eagle brand milk.
Sweet condensed milk.
And the cream cheese. Oh, it's getting soft already. You do this with a hand, make sure it's splattered all over you by the time you get done.
Yeah, I bet.
Pretty bad there, isn't it? Oh yeah, that made it better. We'll slow it down.
We'll be covered in chocolate pudding. I mean, banana pudding. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll put something else in there to thicken it up.
Cool Whip.
Tub of Cool Whip.
Holds up. Oh, and of course, everyone can go to the City of Tyler Fire Department's webpage to find these recipes, or we also have them on the City of Tyler Pinterest page, and we post them on Facebook, Twitter, so just find City of Tyler and you'll be able to find these.
All right, now we're just gonna let that mix for about 5 minutes. You have to let it mix good or the cream cheese leaves little lumps in it, so. do you think?
Looks good. Looks very good. We'll put those in the measuring cup.
When you feed these to the firemen, they always want the beaters like a bunch of kids.
Yep. Big kids. Okay.
All right, back over here to our bowl.
That looks amazing. And so now do we just refrigerate it?
Yeah, no, you can't have banana pudding without having little little wafers all the way around the outside edge. Because that's the way Grandma will make it.
Did she teach you how to cook?
No, I'm like Mark. I've learned to cook mostly around the fire station. I didn't cook much at home, and I do now. I do most all the cooking at my house because my wife works out of town.
I know Kelly's mom can make homemade. I make my share. That looks fancy.
Very nice.
Now the one last thing I usually do. Gotta get all those crushed up there.
Crunch them all up.
You can't leave any little wafers. You gotta
I agree.
get them all.
I agree. And just sprinkle on top.
So we're done. I'll put it in the fridge for a little while and let it chill. And
Looks good. We'll find a fridge. Okay, and now we're back to the famous squash casserole because the fire chief just told me that it's famous. So,
Well, that's a
gotta
lot to live
finish
up
this
to.
up.
Okay, so we boiled our squash for 15, 20 minutes and pretty much got it cooked, and we drained it. We want to let it cool. The first thing we want to do is we want to take 2 cups of cheese, and again, this is a bigger portion than we normally make. It's about probably 1.5 times what I would normally make. Normally, for 3 pounds of squash, I would just use one of these. So we're actually going to use 1.5. So if we'll go ahead and dump that in there.
Dump just in here?
In here. We're going to mix all this in there, then we're going to pour it in here.
Okay.
And we're going to kind of start working it around a little bit. Now, it's still kind of hot, but you just want it to cool off a little bit before you dump that egg in there, because you don't want to have a scrambled egg in here with your squash. Dump about half that in there.
Half?
Yeah, that's good. Mix it up. As you can see, it's still pretty warm. Okay, the next thing we want to do is dump this can of green chilies. I believe that's a 7-ounce can.
Okay.
And we don't drain it or anything because there's not a whole lot of liquid in that anyways. Like I say, normally if we were using just 3 pounds of squash, we would just use one of these cans of sweetened condensed milk.
Condensed milk?
But since we're doing a little bit more than normal, we're going to pour about half of this other one in there as well. Or maybe not, maybe a third. That stuff goes a long way.
Okay.
That's good enough.
You want about a third?
Yeah, just, okay, let's mix that up and see. Like I say, it's kind of That's probably gonna be enough right there.
That's enough. All right.
Then we want to dump our eggs in there.
Okay.
And that's 4 eggs there. I'm gonna add just a little bit of salt and pepper. I normally try to I don't put a whole lot of salt in anything I cook. I'll let whoever's eating it decide how much salt they want in it. And I'd say probably a tablespoon of pepper, black pepper.
Okay.
And then just a little bit of garlic salt. Yes. Get it all mixed up. And we sprayed our pan here with some cooking spray to, oh, I almost forgot the butter. We got to put a half stick of butter in there.
Okay.
We don't want to mess that up.
No.
Sitting right here in front of me. That'll make it real. It won't hurt, will it?
Looking good.
Let that butter melt down a little bit. And we're going to bake this at 350 degrees for about 30 minutes. We're going to cover it with foil. And once that's done, we're going to complete it by putting our Ritz crackers on it. And then we'll put it back in the oven for about another 10 minutes and it'll kind of brown the crackers. But we'll talk about that when we get to that point. That's probably good enough. So we're just going to dump it in here. I think it's going to all fit in here.
Yeah, it looks like it will. Looks good.
And we're going to put a little cheese over. The rest of that cheese, just kind of sprinkle it over the top. And then we'll cover it up and we'll put it in the oven.
And I like cheese. So.
It's cheesy. We can run over here real quick and check these potatoes and see what they look like.
Okay.
Real quick, and then we'll.
Can you use a fork?
Yeah. See, they're tender right now. What we want to do is we want to take this foil off. We're going to need another big spoon. Get one real quick. This one right here will work.
Okay.
We want to kind of stir this up, and then we're going to put our oven on our temperature to cook our squash, and then we'll put this back in there for just a little bit longer at a lower heat. The trick is covering it back up without burning yourself. So we'll turn this oven down to about 350. Put this one back in there. Yeah, go ahead. We'll get that other one out.
These are probably the largest cast iron skillets I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think every fire station has at least one.
Yeah,
They're definitely a fireman size. One on the bottom a little bit farther along. One on the bottom a little bit farther along. Just gonna put these in there for just a little bit longer. That handle's really hot. We'll put our, hopefully our squash will fit in there.
Oh, underneath?
If not, we're just gonna pull that other one out. There we go.
Perfect.
It's full now.
Okay.
All right, next thing we wanna do is we wanna get these going.
Okay.
And I'm gonna need your help.
Sure thing.
I'm gonna need that cooking spray and that Tony's. You're gonna be my sprayer.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna finish up with our main entree here. We're gonna get it on the grill. The first thing we wanna do is we're gonna lightly spray the pork chops with some cooking spray just to keep them from sticking. Then we're gonna add a little Tony's Creole seasoning to it. Not a whole lot, but just a little bit. We've got our grill going on low here. With these pork chops being so thick, we really wanna cook them on low. It's gonna take a 30, 40 minutes to cook them. You want to be sure they reach 160 degrees, you know, with the pork before, you know, you want to pull them. So that's good right there.
Alrighty.
So I'll just move this over here and we'll start putting them on here. I hope they'll fit on there.
Those are some pretty impressive pork chops.
I'll send it to you.
Do we need to spray?
Yeah,
sprinkle some more on
let's
top?
spray these again.
Okay.
All right. Got 18 of them.
Quite a lot.
That's probably the most pork chops I've ever cooked at one time.
I bet. Do we need any more seasoning on top of that?
Yeah, once we we'll spray this side of them and put a little seasoning on them too. These may take a little bit longer to cook. They're so thick. And you want to be careful anytime you're spraying like that.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Show me the correct way.
Well, there's nothing, no right or wrong way to do it. You just want to be careful because that stuff will ignite.
Yeah. You don't want any burn.
Just kind of do a little burst of it. And it doesn't take a whole lot, but.
Okay.
But we're going to come out here and check these, you know, every 10 minutes or so, and just keep an eye on them. It may require us to turn them, you know, multiple times. See the even cook on them. All right, so we're going to close it up, and then we'll come back out here and check on it in just a minute.
All right. With the holidays coming up, we're going to be doing a lot of baking. So what's the best way to prevent a fire in our house or just to keep our family safe?
Well, it's always a good idea to plan ahead, and now is a great time to start thinking about some of those special hazards that we start seeing more of as the weather starts cooling off. And while it's an important topic year-round, one of the big topics that we talk about all year really at the fire department is that regarding smoke alarms. And you need smoke alarms in your home, but not only do you need them, you need to make sure that you're maintaining them. And so at the fire department here in Tyler, we recommend that you check your batteries, change your batteries twice a year. Every time you change your clocks, change your batteries, and we're getting close to that. So that's first. You need to make sure that you have smoke alarms in your home. Just having one smoke alarm in your home reduces your chance of dying in a home fire by up to 50%, and that's a big number.
Yes.
But you really need more than one. You need smoke alarms in every sleeping area in your home, and so that's where we find statistically that a lot of people are lacking. The great thing about the City of Tyler with the fire department, we have a program going on right now that's been going on throughout the year where if you will call us and indicate a need that you have for smoke alarms, we'll make sure that you get one, and not only that, in a lot of cases we'll come out and install it for you as well. But we need people to call us. We've got a lot of resources in regards to these smoke alarms, so we really want to get people active in thinking about this, especially before our weather starts cooling off, because statistically as the weather cools off, structure fires increase. And if we can jump out ahead of it and get people thinking about some of these safety items like cooking and like smoke alarms, then we'll be ahead of the curve on that. Additionally, escape planning, make sure that you have an escape plan with your family, that you have at least 2 ways out, that everyone in the home knows those 2 ways out, including your kids, and make sure your kids know what a smoke alarm sounds like. But it's not enough to just draw an escape plan on a piece of paper. You got to practice that with your family. That's vitally important, and have a meeting place outside of your home. Make sure that you get your plan, make sure you have 2 ways out, and make sure that you practice that plan with your family, everybody in the family, and incorporate the smoke alarms in your home with that, so that your children and everybody in the home gets familiar with what it sounds like and what they need to do to evacuate the home in the middle of the night if there is an emergency. So that preparation is really vitally important, and now's a good time to start that. Additionally, other items that we see as the weather starts cooling off, we have fires that have to do with home heating. And so now's a great time before it gets cold to go ahead and have that fireplace inspected. Go ahead and have your home heating system inspected by a qualified person. That way, when the weather does cool off, you've already got that marked off your list.
Who is qualified? Who should inspect it?
There's several companies around the city and outside the city. If you'll just look in the phone book, while we can't recommend anyone in particular, anyone that's licensed to work on air conditioning and heating type equipment can come out. In addition, if you look up fireplaces in the phone book, there's a lot of companies out there that do fireplace cleanings, and you need to have those inspected and cleaned every year. And so now's a good time to do that because it's not cold yet.
Okay. And what number should we call in case someone does need a fire alarm, smoke alarm?
Number you call for the smoke alarm, or if you've got any question regarding fire safety in your home, or you need us to come out and do a talk for your school or for maybe a community group or something like that, that's what we do. If you'll dial 903-535-0005, that's the fire administrative offices. Ask to speak with the fire marshal or fire marshal's office, and we'll have someone there to get your information. And if you need a smoke alarm or more than one smoke alarm, contact us. We'll ask you a few questions, and we'll schedule a date to come out and do the installation, and you'll have, that way you'll be up to speed. And the other good part about getting us in the home is we get to talk more about fire prevention than just smoke alarms. A lot of times when we're doing installations, we end up talking about cooking safety. We end up talking about escape planning, and that's a one-on-one interaction that we have with our citizens that works out really, really good as far as getting that fire prevention message out to the public.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, we're going to pull our stuffed pork chops off the grill. They've probably been on here about 50 minutes, 45, 50 minutes. We checked them with a meat thermometer, 160 degrees, so everything's good. You can see how that rice, when it starts cooking, it kind of puffs out there. That's another way you can tell when they start getting done. So we're gonna load them into here, go up there and finish everything else off. It's gonna get heavy.
I'm buff, I can take it.
I just don't want you to drop them.
Truth.
I mean, I'd still eat them, but some of these things are huge. And we can shut the grill down. Alright, the last step for squash casserole is we're going to put the topping on it. Gonna pull it over here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a sleeve of Ritz crackers before you open it, mash them up.
Okay, you get one here.
Don't bust it open. It's just the easiest way to do it. I mean, you can do it like that, but we're going to put this back in the oven for maybe 10 minutes or so, and we'll make it nice and golden. And it might not take both of these, but I know it'll take more than one. Go ahead. You can't have too much of this on there. Spread them around there. All right. And we're going to slide it back in the oven, and we'll be done. Thank you. All right, almost there. We're gonna go ahead and pull out our squash casserole now. It's been in there for about 10 minutes. The Ritz crackers will get kind of golden brown there, as you can see, and that's how you know it's done. Take it over here, and it's ready to eat. That's it. Time to eat.
All right.
You want to plate some? It's probably not going to be very pretty. What are you talking about?
Thank you for joining us with Cooking with Fire. I hope you get a chance to try some of these recipes and taste it for yourself. Also, we'd like to say that we hope you get to try out some of those fire prevention tips, and have a wonderful week.
Thank you for joining us.
Bye.